Hi guys, my name is Nick Broughton and I am a Random Fish. If you're a Random Fish too, hit that subscribe button and let's be Random Fishes together, shall we? So, I've been doing a lot of thinking about what I was going to do for this next review. Obviously, I don't have anything specific that I want to review sometimes. I just pick something at random and I go off with it. Now, recently I've acquired a bunch of random movies that I've started watching and thinking about which ones I wanted to review. And then I had a thought. Last time on my videos, I mentioned another YouTuber called Hardcore Pornography. Now, this man is known as Brawny, and he's my big brother. If you do know us at all, then you know that we're fairly similar in a lot of our tastes. If you don't, then that is basically it. We both absolutely adore certain comic book movies. We like things for no random reason other than the fact that they're just there and they're things, and they've got some good points about them. He's also the man that taught me that, frankly, opinion is your opinion. No one else can really take that away from you. So with that in mind, I'm going to focus on some things. For example, there are two particular films in our particular sort of friendship that seem to be a little bit of a divide, I should say. Not really a divide, a source of annoyance, I guess. For example, when I was a child, I adored Pokemon. Anyone who was born in the 1990s, like myself, you understand. Adults will never understand it. The kids now, they have their generation of Pokemon, but we were the first ones to get it. So you would understand if you were born in the 1990s like myself. My brother, who is 10 years older than me, did not understand it at all. Thus, when I went nuts over Pokemon the first movie, he was sat there going, what is this? What is this? I don't understand. Why do you think this is fun? Why? It's turned into this thing. And now we can look back on this movie and think to ourselves, yeah, there are some massive problems with this movie, but we still like it nonetheless. Now, the movie that I'm going to talk about today is the second one of these two movies. And this is a movie that, for me, for some reason, just doesn't strike the right chord with me, doesn't sit right with me for some reason. I don't know. It's the same for quite a few people as well, and once I tell you what the name of the film, you'll understand. That being the Green Lantern film. Now, Green Lantern film was released in 2011, starring Ryan Reynolds as Hal Jordan, the cocky pilot who would eventually become a member of the Green Lantern Corps, an interspecies galactic police force going around saving the world, with various rings that were limited only by their imagination and the strength of their willpower. So when the ring has to choose a bearer for it within a certain, as they say, sector of the galaxy, they had to find someone who has the capacity for great will. The power to overcome great fear, if you will. Oops, I just gave away a spoiler for the movie. Oops, well, moving on with life. If you have seen the Green Lantern movie, you might be one of these people that did enjoy the movie. And if so, I apologise, but you're probably not going to want to watch the rest of this video, because it is just me bitching about this movie. If you didn't like it, please, listen to what I have to say, and, if you can come up with anything else that you didn't like about the movie, please, leave it in the comments. Doesn't matter to me. And this is not a call-out, this is not me trying to start YouTube drama or anything like that. This is just me giving opinions on something that is honestly hilarious to me, because it's one of the only films in the world that someone who I genuinely respect, whose opinion I genuinely respect, it's the first time that we've ever clashed on a movie, properly. I've said flat out that I'm a Man of Steel fan, in that I'm saying that Man of Steel was better than Green Lantern. Now, you may not like Green Lantern, but you probably hate what I just said, because you might hate Man of Steel. If you do, your opinion, man. This is all just my opinion, it's all basis, it's nothing based in fact, none of it whatsoever. With that said, let's get into the movie. Green Lantern, to me, had three major points that I just did not like about the movie that really brought me out of it. The first is kind of the look and the cinematography that surrounds this movie. It seems to have this desire to focus on one colour to place what seems to be almost be placing it in the background, and yet it shows more in the foreground than anything else. for example, the opening narration, there's a whole section where you see just green everywhere, and it's like, it's either like you're seeing a kid's finger painting and you have no idea how to respond because you don't want to hurt the kid's feelings, or even worse, you've got a massive jar full of algae and you're trying to look through it at a TV screen. That's what it sometimes feels like. There's a point in the movie where there's an obscene amount of orange in the screen. I don't quite understand that. Doesn't feel very much like... It's not the Orange Lanterns. That should appear later on down the line if DCEU decides to do what they want to do. Please, please do, guys, because frankly that's going to be brilliant to watch on screen. But that's one of my main problems. It just doesn't... It doesn't look appealing. It just doesn't feel like it has an appealing look to me. I do feel like I'm watching a movie that I cannot look at it and say it looks good. If there was bad acting in it, but it looked good, brilliant. If the CGI was shitty, but the cinematography was good, I could handle that. A good-looking movie is what brings you into it a lot quicker than anything else. This movie, 5 minutes in, I was almost completely disinterested. I don't know why. It just happened, and it felt like that. It felt very forced. My second point on this movie is the main villain. I don't even know if you can call him the main villain. He sort of causes a little bit of problems across the galaxy, and then suddenly pops up on Earth and goes, yeah, I'm going to devour you all. That being the great villain of the film, Parallax, the spirit, if you will, of fear, the entity of fear. There's a whole bunch of stuff about Green Lantern lore in the comics that I would go into, but that's a video for another day. I might do that next week, or I might talk about the Green Lantern Corps and the history of Green Lantern in comics just because I can. But in terms of actually looking at it, just Parallax on his own is a great villain, but he didn't feel like a good villain in this particular movie. When he's... Okay, for example, in the beginning of the movie, if you have, spoilers if you haven't seen it, although if you haven't seen it and you're still watching this video, then something's wrong with you. Those astronauts that look like the astronauts out of Fan 4 Stick, why Fan 4 Stick chose to copy those particular astronauts and outfits, I have no idea, but moving on. So they end up in this place, and what appears to be one of the Guardians of the Universe is hiding behind a big yellow wall, and he suddenly absorbs them, and it breaks out. This gigantic thing breaks out, and it looks like... How do I put this? It looks like an incredibly bad CGI effect. Like, he looks like a villain out of a PS2 game, to me. It doesn't even feel like that. And I think he just doesn't look all that appealing. In fact, do you know what he looks like? Do you know what he looks like? He looks like a giant pound of dirt that someone dumped in front of a green screen and said, make it move. That's what he is. Oh, and give him a face. Massive clump of dirt in front of a green screen, make it move, and give it a face. That's all they were after. And, okay, if that's what you're after for your villain, fine, but you could at least make him interesting. Parallax is not an interesting entity. He wasn't even an interesting entity in the comics. Parallax's point is that he is meant to instill fear. But it's very difficult for him to instill fear in a universe... In a universe where only the colour of will exists. He's meant to be their big weakness. I honestly don't see Parallax as trying to devour as many... He's destroying these things for the energy. I get it. But at the same time, when he first broke out of prison, he was supposedly strong enough to withstand an assault from a bunch of some of the best Lanterns in the Corps and kill most of them, bar Sinestro. I don't quite get it. If he was that strong to withstand that kind of an assault and do that kind of damage, after he was supposedly weaker, why go to Earth at all? Why not go straight to Oa, where your main bad guys are, where your main enemies are? Oh, and just as a side note, I know it's not really something that I hate about the movie. It's just absolutely hilarious to me. The Guardians of the Universe, they look like... Okay, do you remember what Nick McNulty looked like at the end of Hulk? That giant brain thing with all the electricity surging through it, and like the little video thingies of the Hulk screaming's face as he jumps all around. It's that, but smaller and much more. Like, there's loads of them, and I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of hilarious. It's nothing to ultimately save them as characters. Because let's face it, the Guardians of the Galaxy, they're not the Guardians of the Galaxy, they're the Guardians of the Universe. Guardians of the Galaxy is a completely different movie. But the Guardians of the Universe, they're not meant to be interesting characters, so I can't really have a go at them for not doing much in the movie. Because they're not meant to do much. That's the point. Parallax is not the only villain in the film either. There's also Hector Lamont, or however you say his last name. I'm not really a big, I just think of him as Hector. Or, as he turns out later on in the film, Jabba the Hutt. He literally looks like someone tried to turn him into Jabba the Hutt for filming in Return of the Jedi, or possibly Phantom Menace. When he waddles out onto the big balcony and says, "Let the pod race begin," and all that, so that's what he looks like. And again, this is the problem. The people that made this movie, kudos, because they did a job doing it. They tried their best to make the movie. No one goes into a movie trying to make crap. No one ever does. But let's face facts. It didn't exactly do very well, and it didn't exactly look very appealing. The villains didn't seem all that going. And finally, my third point about why I don't like this movie, and it's very simple. I feel like the characters weren't explored well enough. Now, before you all have a go at me, I get it. Origin story, you got to establish the powers, you got to establish the universe, you got to establish the side characters, all of that. I get it. You have to do all these things and more. But I feel like the Green Lantern Corps should have been a bit more involved in what was happening. There were a couple of scenes where one scene where they were involved, another scene where Sinestro, Kilowog, and possibly the Squirrel all turned up helping Hal Jordan at the very end, after he beat the bad guy, I might add. And then there's another scene where they're all just pointing their rings up going, "We did nothing! Well done to us! We're still the strongest in the universe. I'm the one who defeated Parallax. Shut up and point your ring towards the sky like the rest of us." Why? And of course then there's Sinestro within this film. He falls under this category, because I feel like Sinestro and Hal Jordan are meant to start off quote-unquote at odds with each other, but are meant to become friends. And honestly, I didn't feel like any of that was even slightly accomplished. He didn't like Hal Jordan because Abin Sur, the guy who last wore the ring, ended up dying because of Parallax and blah 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 blah. And so, when he crashed landed on Earth and the ring found Hal Jordan, Sinestro was more than disappointed, frankly, because his friend was dead, and this scrawny human had turned up in his place to take over what had been the greatest lantern of them all. And Sinestro didn't like it, and I get that. My point being is that Sinestro should have at least attempted to grow as a character throughout the series. Sinestro, for those of you who don't know, in the comics, Sinestro and Hal Jordan become buddies. And Hal, with Sinestro's help, rises through the ranks of the Green Lantern Corps and even gets, the two of them are referred to as the greatest lanterns. But Hal soon discovers how Sinestro governs his own planet. He gets to Sinestro's homeworld and discovers that Sinestro is essentially trying to rule these people out of fear by using his Green Lantern ring for evil. He then gets Sinestro kicked out of the Green Lantern Corps. Sinestro then harnesses the power of fear, gets his own Corps, and a massive war breaks out. I'll cover this a bit more in another episode if I ever do a Lantern's history of episode, which I might actually have to do now that I've just said it twice. But here's the thing. Sinestro and Hal were friends, and they built up a friendship. And I honestly don't feel like any kind of friendship was built. Now, that may not be the point of the first movie. The first movie may just have been trying to, you know, establish his powers and let him use his powers. Except they don't even do that in the movie. I know the whole point of DC is going, look, we have godlike powers, but we're human underneath. I get it. It's all lovely jubbly, really. It's fabulous. Thank you so very, very much. But the point of the Green Lantern Corps is that you can do anything with that ring. Anything in your imagination. And I honestly don't think our imagination, at least not human imagination, is limited to only what we know. There are very few people who do that. And someone who has been told that he has a strong will and is able to wield a Green Lantern ring should be able to imagine more than just a giant fist punching a space fart. That is what Parallax is. He's a giant space fart made of dirt thrown in front of a green screen and being told to give it a face and make it move. And I mean, the film wouldn't bother me as much if it only did that a little bit, but kept the characters going and kept them likable. I don't even like these guys. Like, for example, every cliches, when done well, you groan at them existing, but you deal with them. Because you know that they're there to serve a higher purpose. Iron Man, I groaned at that. I groaned at it, but it worked. Thor, groaned at it, but it worked. Captain America, groaned at it, made it work. I know I'm referring to Marvel superheroes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I'm sorry. That is how an origin story is supposed to work. You're supposed to take the cliches, the things that are meant to exist in the movie, and you make them bearable for the audience. That is the point of a movie. That is the point of an origins movie, is to take things that people would normally groan their butts off at and just make it less painful. And this movie, I did not feel did that. It did not feel to me like a movie that was trying to establish something. It was just there going, we're trying to appeal to both the nerds and the mainstream audience. Can we go down the middle? No, you can't go down the middle. You have to appeal to either you can go down the middle, but eventually, and you have to have much better writers to do it with. For example, Iron Man combined both the nerdiness and the reality and meshed it together quite well. How did it not happen with Green Lantern? Who knows? But it didn't work. And I wish it had gone better. I really do. And to all of you who like the Green Lantern movie, to all of you who think what I've just spouted out now is bollocks and you're writing down your hatred for me in the comments, fine. Because it's completely your own opinion. And that's what this is. This is just my opinions being thrown out there into the world. I will say this. I do not hate the Green Lantern movie. Despite what I've just said, I don't hate the Green Lantern movie. Do I like it? Not really. But I will watch it. I'm not going to turn it off in disgust and break the disc. I still have a copy. Because I'm hoping that maybe if I watch it once or twice more, maybe I'll finally be able to understand what all these fans have gotten so nuts about. And it just... We all have silly stuff that we like to laugh at. We all have films that we like to watch. For example, I like watching Ang Lee's Hulk. I enjoy watching the Ghost Rider films, for crying out loud. Those are ridiculous movies. They are so ridiculous, and yet somehow I enjoy them. I love Batman Forever, for God's sake. I mean, I hate Batman and Robin. Who does like Batman and Robin? I'll be honest. Think of it as an Adam West continuation, and you've got a bit less of an issue, but it's not because it continues with all the Tim Burton characters. there's still carry-ons of the Tim Burton characters. That's not good. That's really not good. But anyway, I digress. This has just been my thoughts, my own personal review of the Green Lantern movie, and my little rant about the Green Lantern movie. Please, I will say it again, if I ever bring him up again in future videos. Do please check out Hardcore Pornography in the description below. He has some amazing videos. He does some great work, and honestly, just watch. If you haven't seen the Green Lantern movie, if you just listen to my rant, I'm sorry. Go watch the film yourself. Have your own opinions. You might have better opinions than me. You just might. And if so, get a camera, record your own opinions, throw it up on YouTube, see what happens. Because that's what I'm doing. I'm just throwing my opinion out there. Randomfish out. Ha!